Spurs fans, I've been doing a lot of research, and even I was shocked with a lot of the stats I'm about to show you. What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Hope you're having a great weekend. There have been 7 NBA drafts since this channel's inception on April 5th, 2019. With the Spurs passing on Zach Edey last year, and not even trying to draft a big like Maxime Reynaud or Ryan Kalkbrenner in the second round this year, it really got me thinking. Our Spurs have really become allergic to drafting bigs. Did the research online. Some sites say the average NBA height is 6'6". Some sites say 6'7". We're just going to use an average for this video of 6'6.5". All the Spurs draft heights I'm about to show you are from the NBA Combine when available. We're just about to see how our Spurs are drafting guys below the league average. Start us off with 2019. The Spurs drafted Luka Samanic to sandwich himself, 6'9.5". So we're starting off with a player above the league average. Next up, Keldon Johnson. I was shocked to see this. His NBA Combine height is listed as 6'4 3/4". I thought for sure Keldon was 6'6". Must be a shoes thing again. Unfortunately, this Johnson is not as long as we thought it was. And last but not least, and if you've been here long enough, you'll recognize this nickname, Garbage Time Q, Quindary Weatherspoon, 6'3". So 2 out of the 3 players below league average height, but it's just one draft, right? Surely we start drafting some bigs moving forward, TSR, right? No? Well, in 2020, we drafted Devin Vassell, who was 6'5", and Trey Jones, whose combine height, from what I found, said 6'2.5". I thought for sure Trey was like 6'1". If that's wrong, please let me know. However you slice it, both players under the league average. Okay, surely we're going to draft some bigs moving forward, right? This is probably the worst Spurs draft in team's history, at least the worst draft in the channel's history. In 2021, the Spurs drafted Joshua Primo, who was 6'4", and Joe Mama himself, Joe Wieskamp, 6'5 3/4", continuing a streak of drafting players under the league average. 2022. Oh, the curse is broken. We took Jeremy Sohan, who I could not find combine stats. I don't believe he attended the combine, but most sites are listing him as 6'8", some 6'9". Some of you have said he's 6'7". I'm just going to go with 6'8" for this video. He's above the average, however you slice it. Malachi Branham, under 6'4". Blake Wesley, even shorter, 6'3". Up next, we finally crushed the league average, and there was no way the Spurs were not drafting the unicorn, the alien himself, Victor Wembanyama, 7'3.5". Per the Spurs, couldn't find any combine stats, but the Spurs around draft time reported that was his height. Of course, he is not that height anymore, Spurs fans. He's easily 7'6", maybe 7'7". Please stop growing Wemby. And then another shocker for me, Sidney Sissoko. I could have sworn he was 6'7". Nope. Combine's 6'5.5". Another one of those. I must have seen his in-shoes height, not his actual standing barefoot height. All right, last year. Rookie of the Year, current reigning Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle, 6'5.5". I thought he was 6'6". He's just under 6'6". Juan Nunez, 6'4", and another one that surprised me, Harrison Ingram. I thought he was 6'7". He's actually shorter than Castle per the combine stats I have found, 6'5.25". What? And then this year's draft. Dylan Harper, 6'4.5", which we thought he was 6'6", came in a little under that. And then Carter Bryant, who actually meets our league average in this video of 6'6.5". And I'm not knocking this draft in any way. I'll circle back to this. But if you take the 17 players that I just talked about, all 17 guys, 13 out of the 17 are below the average height we're using this video, 6'6.5". 13 below the average height. 1, Carter Bryant, was the average height, and then 2 were above the average height. Luka Samanic, or 3. Bad math there. 3 were above the average height. Luka Samanic, Jeremy Sohan, and of course, Wemby. 9 of the players I just talked about were 6'5" or less. Guys, we're drafting Yodi-sized players. No offense, Yodi. You know, having guys that are shorter than the average NBA height might explain why we struggle in defensive rebounding at times. I dug into the defensive rebound stats, and we're going to dig into those right now together. There's 6 here because, well, this year's draft, that season hasn't happened yet. But since 2019, our Spurs have ranked, and it's not as bad as I thought it was, but it is bad in areas. Our defensive rebounding in the last 6 years, 13th, 16th, 13th, 23rd. That was the Keldon Johnson-led year. Then we jumped up, did a much better job in 2023, Wemby's rookie year, and then fell off a cliff last year. Wemby missed time, Soane missed time, rookie coach. There's lots of issues back in the 20s at 21st. And to give you some perspective, our NBA Finals teams, our 6 Finals teams, their defensive rebounding rank in the NBA for the year, 1st, 6, 11, 4, 4, 4. Hey, defensive rebounds stop your opponent from getting second chance opportunities, which means you're limiting their scoring. And the whole point of the game is to score more than your opponent. Listen, guys, I'm not saying draft a big just because they're big. But if you look at our team, and if you look at this year's draft, drafting players like Dylan Harper, Carter Bryant, which I am happy with those selections. But where it kind of makes you step back and look at the team is we keep drafting similar sized players at similar positions. You start getting a ton of overlap. This is why you heard the fit thing a lot with the Spurs, with Dylan Harper, even with Carter Bryant. We have a lot of guys that'll play at the 2 and 3, the wing position. And looking at this thumbnail, I think in a year, maybe up to 2 years, 3, maybe 4 out of the players in this thumbnail will be gone. Malachi Branham might be gone before the season starts. I think he's worn out his welcome in San Antonio. Blake Wesley, he's fast. He brings some defense. I think the Spurs might keep him around. And then there's Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. You guys know I like Keldon. I don't know if he's going to be here long-term with the Spurs. Great locker room guy, great community guy, does whatever the Spurs ask. Went from being the guy in the season before Wemby to, the 3rd option in Wemby's rookie year to then going to on the bench. That's a huge drop to being the number 1 option to 3 to 6. And I haven't heard boo about him complaining about it. Devin Vassell is another huge question mark. He's got a contract that right now at this moment in time, he has underperformed for. Harper, Bryant, Castle. Where does he fit in with all these guys? I think he could be on as well soon. Maybe even before the season starts. The Spurs desperately need size on the team. When you look at the roster, we've got Wemby, we've got our unicorn, but we don't want him bagging all these other bigs in the league all the time. Bad choice of words, right, Charles Barkley? Bumping into other big players. We've also got possibly Bismack Biyombo. He comes back. Sandro Mamukelashvili, who isn't a traditional big. And then Charles Bassey, who unfortunately cannot stay healthy. I see Bassey not coming back. Biyombo probably not. Something needs to happen with either free agency or trade or both. If we have the cap room you guys have talked about, maybe we can bring on a Yabusele and a Lopez on the short term. Yabusele maybe 3 years to play the 4, a big 4, at least a heavy 4, and then Lopez maybe a year or 2 to be a backup 5. Not a starter. I don't think he should be starting, but a backup 5. Whatever the Spurs do, if we're not going to draft bigs, then we need to sign or trade for some this offseason because this just isn't going to work out. We can't have Wemby be the only big running around out there again. I don't want to see that. I know a lot of you don't want to see that. Yeah, that's all I got. Drop a comment, guys. You think this is something that's clearly, this is something very different than what I normally do, which I'm trying to do something, a little more original content than just piggybacking off other websites. And this is really something I hadn't thought about. We talk about, we make the jokes together on the channel that we draft a lot of guys that are 6'5"-ish. And now I've given you the proof. Since 2019, we've drafted more than half the guys are 6'5" or less. Drop a comment, your thought on all this. Really looking forward to some feedback. Do you want to see more videos like this in the future, more original type stuff? If you do, hey, hit the thumbs up. That'll let me know you liked it. All right, that's all I got. Subscribe, and thank you. And as always, go Spurs, go.